That's me and my delayed reaction. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Do I have to click continue?
Yes.
Right. What else? Got a bit bored with all of that and then decided let's try and invent something. And whilst I was going to on a course for English literature, on a one-to-one GCSE course, I found myself messing around with my earbuds and couldn't understand how comes I could travel from one station to another and the entanglement that these cables would get into. So me being who I am and putting one and one together and coming up with 22, I decided let's have a quick look at it and see what we can do. However, I ended up inventing two different models that were granted. So I can say that I am an inventor with two granted applications. And also, whilst I was going through the method of learning and developing a product, this is the product that's out in the markets now. So if you're short of any earbuds, give me a shout afterwards and I'll help you out with those. Right. Dyslexia. One of my major stumbling blocks throughout all of it. Learning difficulties that I had, spelling, being able to talk to large groups of people. I always found it kind of like very, very difficult and always got a little bit tongue-tied as to what I wanted to say and how I was going to say it. But the biggest stumbling block was reading, and reading to a point whereby I could understand what I have read after I have read it, and could I apply what I had just read. So these were the stumbling blocks that I had, and going into developing this particular product and being granted an ability to be able to write down what was actually happening to me while I was going through this particular journey. Yeah, ended up writing down hell of a lot of writing, what was happening to me all the time, and putting all of that lot together to come up with the method one, the pyramid, which basically took me through a road of understanding who I am and being confronted with all the difficulties that one has with understanding and developing, patenting and manufacturing and so on and so forth. So I managed to write everything down and I ended up with a huge volume of stuff, which I'll give you just a quick glimpse of all the stuff, but I don't know if you can see this, but that's just a part of it. So I was doing drawings and illustrations and how your energy works and so on and so forth. Anyway, there was a lot of stuff that came through, and trying to then put that together into something. I was stumbling around it last year actually, and I decided, no, let me start to write a book that I wanted to write as a result of my journey. And all of a sudden, what came to me is, no, start teaching. So then I started putting the modules together and getting that all ready to try and see if I can help a few people, just to show you the roads that I went down in order to try and develop a product, manufacture it and get it to market, which it's on sale now. which, if you've got a problem of dyslexia, can be quite a task when you've got so many forms and everything like that to fill. I did end up going back to university and doing an engineering product design course, which obviously helped me a lot with all of the developments that I had to go through and all of the hoops that I had to jump. So that helped me to try and find out where my weaknesses and my strengths were. But yeah, here I am now. I've written everything up. I've got an 8-step program, of which doing the module 1 is the first step. And I believe that it was the foundation that helped me to actually understand what was going on with me mechanically in my head. And then obviously how I was going to get across and understand my dyslexia and what was actually happening inside my head. Why is it that I was reading a sentence and then at the end of it just go a complete blank? Well, what's that? What did I just read? How can I apply what I don't understand? So then I obviously just asked the question, and then everything started to unfold. So I'd done all the writing, but didn't quite understand exactly how I was going to translate all of that. But what actually happened was, after I did that and I started the process of this, I was able to go step by step and start to understand what I was doing here. So it was a collaboration of my understanding my writings and going step by step with the development of the tidy product. So that's basically my story, and I'm not a qualified teacher, but I've done a lot of teaching, and I've obviously dealt with lots of people throughout my life in order to try and build my business and do the other bits and pieces that I've been able to do with teaching. Right, so let's dive into it now. Right, I believe that all life is basically all learned behavior. And what I mean by that is that from your first breath, if you don't cry, you get a slap. And if you do cry, then you start getting whatever it is that you start getting as a baby. But from that moment, you start to learn how to do everything from that very first breath that starts up. I don't know if you guys know this, but when a baby is inside the womb, there is a part inside the baby's heart that is connected to the umbilical cord, where all the nutrients and everything goes in through the heart to keep the heart going and all the rest of it, so that makes the baby grow. The minute the child is born and takes the first breath, that's when that part, there is a valve inside the heart that actually cuts off and then stops, and it never ever opens again in all of your lifetime. And your heart then takes over, starting looking after you. So that's the part that I believe where your consciousness actually enters into the child, and you then start to go through life learning all of the bits and pieces that you need to do. The bad behavior that we go through is sometimes down to the way that we perceive something that's happened to us. Now, one of the things that I came across with dyslexia was that I believe that it's linked to trauma and pain. And what I mean by that is information, if I can just show you quickly. So what happens is you've got information kind of like coming in to your brain along a synapses cord. Now, that information is made up of several different strands. So if we said that this was smell, this was movement.
We're not seeing too clearly, Arthur.
Can you not see?
Not clearly. Is it possible to bring the board closer?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, we've got the reflection now.
Can't you do it on the whiteboard on the Zoom?
Can you see that
I
now?
better not say nothing. Let me
Yeah,
say
yeah.
nothing. I'm gonna not say nothing.
There's actually a whiteboard on the share screen.
How do I do that? Jess, you've made the suggestion, and now you're going to ask me. How can I do that? Because you're getting the reflection from off of the computer.
Is there a way that you can go into your share? Is there a way you can go into your share screen?
Can you see it up here? Can you see it?
No, we can't see a thing.
Just try first. See if you can go into your shared screen. Come to your computer, your laptop, and go into share screen.
Share the screen. Yeah.
Okay. And see the whiteboard. Can you see whiteboard?
Yes.
All right. Click on the whiteboard.
Open.
Right. Highlight it and go to share.
What does it say? What is that saying? Privacy?
Have you done it, Shez, before?
No, I've not done this before. This is the first time.
Yeah. So what is this? Sorry, what you saying, Arthur? I'm just doing something.
I'm just saying, I'm just looking at this for the first time. What he's asking me to do here, and
right.
This is.
So you need to go on your shared screen, and then go to basics, and then you see the whiteboard.
Yeah, he said he's seen the whiteboard.
So then you press share.
That's it. Yeah.
And then you've got like this like you can draw on it. You've got the spotlight. You can.
Okay, so where's my pen?
So hold on, draw. Here's the draw here. Where you can draw. See?
Oh, okay.
You see that?
So how do I pick up the pen?
Okay, so hold on a minute. I'm just on the other line. I'll phone you back. Yeah. You take care of that. Yeah. Okay, doke. Bye. Right. So can you see where I went to the whiteboard, Arthur?
No.
I went to shared screen. I'm sorry, the audience. I'm trying to make this less painful as possible for you.
Yeah, sorry about this.
Yeah. So right. So hold on. Let me stop sharing, and I'll start again. Okay. So go to shared screen, and have you done that? Yeah, you've got the whiteboard.
Shared screen. Right. I've got the whiteboard, and I'm clicking open system preference.
No, just go to the whiteboard and press share.
Okay, so can you click it again? All right, so let me just go back again, click whiteboard.
And then share.
It's not giving me share, it's saying allow Zoom to share screen.
What?
Allow Zoom?
Is he a host?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it says open system preferences, which is what it's asking me to do.
Is that when you went into share screen?
Yeah.
And at the top, can you see basic?
All right, so let me just do this, because I think what it's doing is it's just asking for my my password and everything. Oh my god.
No, it shouldn't give you
Shouldn't
that.
be doing it.
No,
No?
shouldn't be doing that at all.
Come out and go
Okay,
back
is
in.
there any, oh right, I'm just conscious of that. We've got the audience waiting here. So is there any other way that you can do this, Arthur? And then we'll
Okay. All right.
if I knew that you was doing a whiteboard, I would have actually run through this with you beforehand.
I do apologise. I didn't
worries.
realise I was going to have a problem with the whiteboard.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be quite easy for me to do that.
Okay.
Let me just have a quick look, and if I can see if I can make it thicker.
All right, you'll have to put the board, push it back into the slightly off direction, because we didn't see so much of the your computer. That should do it.
How is that?
It's a bit better.
Right, so what you've got is you've got information coming in one direction.
Right.
So that information is then split up into many different lines of information. So this could be sight, this could be sound, this could be outside noise or touch, and this could be smell. So when you've got an action going along, so information going into the brain, you've got all of this information that is going into the brain, and it's asking the brain then to synthesize that and tell us what we're supposed to be doing and pick up on all the receptacles that's actually happening. Now, if you end up going into pain, for argument's sake, you end up with the information then, I'm just trying to think on how the best way to explain this. Right, so let's say for argument's sake, you're in a life situation and all of a sudden something happens to you. Now, what happens to all of that information when it's getting to the end of where it needs to actually act is we end up with, let's say you've had an accident. Now, what happens is all of that information that's going into your brain then comes to a dead stop. It doesn't know what to do with that particular piece of information. But the brain is very, very clever insofar as that it will find a way round that particular stop or that blockage. So what it will do is it will grab hold of that information and it will continue to try and find a way around that blockage. But what actually happens is all of that information now comes up and goes in. Then you've got two lots of information coming along this particular pathway, and then you've got two lots of information coming in between there, and then you've got four bits of information now trying to find its way back into reality and trying to now express what it actually wants you to do. So this is what I would say is what actually happened to me through the traumas that I went through. And what ends up happening at this particular point here is that you end up with all of that information, instead of going through nice and smoothly so that you can understand what that's being saying, it now ends up like the same way like a bottle, when the information is going in and then it goes to a bottleneck, it ends up rushing through at the very last bit. So what happens is you end up with confusion at this point. And what happens is you just, you can see the information a little bit and then all of a sudden it's gone. Then you see another piece of the information and then another bit of it's gone. Now, what happened to me and what I think is happening to all of us when we end up, or when we're suffering with dyslexia, is like we're reading something, and because this damage is within the receptors, this is what happens to the information. If there's other information that's coming in there, it just gets tied up again as well and wants to come out at the end. But because it's too much information for us to be able to understand it, it's jumbled. And what that jumbled actually does is it turns us to anger because we don't understand it. It turns everything blank. So from that moment onwards, you're trying to assimilate the information, but all of a sudden, it's just a complete blank. I don't understand it. How can I do it? And what we tend to do is, rather than try to understand what's actually going on, we get angry. With us men, we get angry. We get upset, and then we just say, oh, I can't deal with it. You know, that's it, I've had enough. Now, what I was able to actually understand, what was actually going on in my actual brain, was I first looked at what was happening. So I was having trying to deal with this trauma and just couldn't understand, make head nor tails. So you're ending up with a conflict. And that conflict is what is causing the dilemma, or what I would class as my inability to be able to function through the dyslexia. Or through my dyslexia, and couldn't understand exactly what was going on. Now, what I'm going to do now is, if you keep that in mind, I'm now going to tell you what happened and when my dyslexia actually started. I was 4 years old and I used to play, I was born in Clapton, E5, and I don't know if anybody knows the Mothers Hospital that was there on the top of Clapton Pond, but I was growing up down there, and I had a friend of mine who lived in the next street. We lived there until I was 5 years old, and didn't quite understand, you know, everything that was kind of like going on around me. But Cleve, who was a friend of mine who lived in the other street, what we used to do as children, and I was only 4 then, and you have to take into consideration that we're talking about many years ago, where people used to leave the pram outside the house and used to tie a handkerchief on. If anybody's passing by and they hear the baby, give me a quick shout, that type of lifestyle, was that we ended up with a lot of freedom from very, very early age. So you were allowed out. I mean, a 4-year-old allowed out nowadays, it could never happen. It would never happen. A 4-year-old going out on the street on their own. You just wouldn't see it today. But back in the day, that's how things used to be. And Cleve and I used to walk down to the River Lee, and we would play at the side of the river, and we would push a plank backwards and forwards to each other while we were sitting on the side of the bank. And I turned around to Cleve and I said to him, for God's sake, don't reach in to the water, because if you reach into the water and you'll fall in, and then that will be it, you know. So don't let it just go, and we'll get another bit of stick or another plank and we'll play with that. Anyway, some days went past and a week or so went past, and I was inside playing with my cars on the floor or doing something as a child, and I heard my mum talking to the next door neighbour, and the next door neighbour turning round and saying to my mum, "Did you hear about the young lad that drowned in the River Lee the other day?" And I heard what was going on, and I just couldn't understand. Yeah, they were talking, yeah, little boy at the top of the road, lived just over in the next street. So I went outside and I heard them talking about this. I said, "Who's that? What's happened?" And my mum told me that a chap a little young lad from the next street has died in the River Lee yesterday. Yeah, wow. And I said, "Did you get a name?" She said, "Something like Jackson, something like that." Anyway, I knew my little buddy lived on the top of the hill at Fletcher. We lived at Fletching Road at that time, and he lived over in the other street. So I just started walking up the hill and went and knocked on Cleve's door, and his mum came to the door, and I said to her, "Is Cleve there? Can he come out and play?" And his mum turned around to me and said to me, "I'm sorry, Arthur, but Cleve died yesterday in the River Lee." Now, I was only 4 years old at the time, and I just could not believe what I was hearing. I was absolutely traumatized. And as a 4-year-old, I turned around and I said, "Oh, okay." I just turned on my heels, and then I walked back out, and then I walked up the street, and all of a sudden, as a 4-year-old, here I was now impacted with so much emotion, so much feeling. I just did not know what was actually happening to me and what I was going to do. I came home and I went up to my room and sat down on the bed and was just crying away. I just didn't understand. "Yeah, Mum, you're right. Cleve's dead. He died in the River Lee." But at that time, I was 4 years old, and there I was as a 4-year-old now trying to understand these emotions that were going through me. Anxiety, grief, loss, an array of things. And I could not put any words to this, what was happening to me. Now, I believe that this is what happened. The minute Cleve's mum told me that he was dead, the shock banded all of these strands together to create the stop. So this stop had now come into where I had a lot of information and I just did not know how to deal with that information. I couldn't explain it. I didn't know the words for a start, how to explain it. So what was I going to do? I didn't know what to do. But what happened was it damaged the shock of him dying, damaged those receptors, and those receptors then became tied together. So that if you imagine what finally happened was a crossover of all of the information that was coming in. So this part here was tied. But what was coming out at the other end was still unexplainable, and I just did not know how to express that. And I believe that this is what happened to me. This is how I've been able to explain to myself how dyslexia actually started for me. And I believe that that's how it starts for everybody. Because from then on, after that shock had created that damage, I'm now traveling through life and I'm trying to now deal with the other traumas of life. And I'm now trying to understand my first love. And I'm trying to understand the first time I had an accident in a car. And I'm trying to understand what it's like about having my first fight at school. And I'm trying to understand what it is that's happening to me when I've had an argument with the next door neighbor, and I want to talk and I want to say something, but every time I get to this point, the information just seems to get jumbled for some unknown reason. And what happens is either I turned to anger, or I just ran away. Now, when this was happening now throughout all of my life. Every single piece of trauma that then happened to me, all had to find its way through. Sometimes the information went right the way through and I was able to deal with it quite easily. And I didn't have any problems with dealing with that particular problem. But add to that a lifetime, or not a lifetime, from you're a child up to your 20s, say, and you've had a breakup in a relationship. Love comes into it. Add to that your father that drinks and then comes home and beats you and your mum. Add to that a mother that can't look after the child or adds another load of problems. Add to that all of the problems that you can think of, rape. I've mentioned fighting and all of that already, but add to that, that's what creates the confusion, and all of a sudden you just cannot think of how to move past that. Now here you are and you're in school now, and all of a sudden you're in a calm situation and you want to read something. But what's happening is while you're reading that, it's going through that process and coming out there, and you're saying the words at this point, but when it comes out the other end to try and understand it and try to turn that into an action, you don't know what to do. You're stuck. So this is what I believe is what dyslexia does to most of us, which is why we are unable to read, to be able to act on what we read, and able to put anything into action. And the problem here is that we then end up with a long time, a lifetime of trying to understand how to deal with learning, how to deal with all of the things that we now need to do throughout life. We just can't do it. How do we do it? We just can't do it. So what happens in that situation is that we then look at how dyslexia actually works for you. So if you're writing, if you say that an information is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that's the whole information. What the dyslexia is doing is, because you've only got a certain amount of strands that's actually going through that you can understand. So what's happening with the dyslexia is that you're only actually getting through, let's say 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So as a dyslexic person, all you're doing is you're trying now to make and trying to understand what 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 means, and that is the whole of the information. You just can't do it. It's impossible for you to be able to do it. And this is in a mild case of dyslexia. If you're in a really, really bad situation of dyslexia, you might not even end up with 1. You might end up with 3, 7, and 10. Now, this is just the normal way of life and the way that we actually end up with assimilating problems that we're actually dealing with. The information that is in here is that build-up of expression that you've actually been able to, that's been held back in that blockage, and you just don't know what to do with it. So this is what I believe is what's happening with people that suffer really badly with dyslexia, and how I was able to understand it and then try to get over it. Which at the end of the day, you end up creating a problem, which at the end of the day, you end up with a problem trying to understand exactly what it is that you're trying to learn and how you're going to actually be able to gain a full understanding when half of the information that you've already got has already gone. So that's just a lifetime of problems that you end up with dyslexia. That's one form of dyslexia that most of us that have a problem with reading and what have you, that's what I believe is actually happening. The other form of dyslexia is those that are brilliant. And what that is you've got information coming in and you end up with number 1, number 5, and number 10. And a huge gap in between. And you're trying to, and that information that's in between there is now creating a child that is bad-tempered, that finds it really, really hard to communicate with people, that finds that I just don't know how to talk to people. I've been talking to people, and I was talking to Auntie Jean, and I was just telling her all my life I've always felt outcrowd. And what I mean by that is that all of my friends were all part of the circle, but I always felt outside the circle. And for some unknown reason, I could get in the circle or be part of that circle, because of the way that I was wired and the way that I was dealing with that. And I just came to a dead stop. I just didn't know what I could do or what should I do. And what I did was, finally, I got to the point whereby I was told to create my pyramid and to put all my words across that I had done to anybody. So anything that I had done to anybody, any harm or anything like that that I had done, had a bad thought or did to somebody or hit someone, or just write it all down, exactly what you've done, using one word to depict that particular action. And that's exactly what I did. And I came up with my pyramid, which is what I'm asking you guys to put together. Now, what I found was that putting all of those words together I couldn't understand how that was going to help me to actually deal with my dyslexia. But what is happening whilst you're writing your words down is that you are traveling from one point in your mind in the way that you're dealing with a particular situation. So let me just demonstrate that one again. So how did you, so what you've got now is you're traveling with, you're dealing with your words that you're going along here now. 1, 2, oh, sorry, excuse me, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what you're doing is you're writing down, and I'm just going to give you a quick example, because what I don't want to do is to put words in your mouth as to while you're going through and creating your pyramid. You have to excuse my drawing at the moment. I'm not used to this type of drawing, but you understand what I'm talking about. There is another way that I could have done this, but that's inexperience for you.
You can show the picture afterwards of what you mean.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's just looking like a brick wall.
But this is basically what I'm talking about. So you build your wall up until you wouldn't believe I could lay bricks as well, would you? Right. So it looks a bit like that, but you understand what I'm talking about. So you build your wall up, and once you've done your wall, I hope
I thought it was a pyramid.
that you will end up with something that looks hopefully a bit like that.
Bring it down a bit. Bring it down a bit so we can see. Or bring it to the camera of the. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So I can draw it when I'm not under pressure, but
Yeah.
when I'm under pressure, that's what it is. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to illustrate some words for you. All right, just to help you get going with your thing. Now, the worst thing that I could have done to another person was kill. Yeah. For a woman, that could be, blimey. What's the worst thing a woman can do to somebody else? It's kill as well, isn't it? Can anybody? I need a woman's help here, you know?
Yes.
I think you're treading lightly.
So the worst thing that a woman could do is kill as well. So basically, a man and a woman are capable of doing exactly the same thing as each other. And then you could go along and you could say, what's less than killing someone? Can anybody give me an idea? What is less?
Harming.
Breaking somebody's heart.
Breaking somebody's heart. What else?
Love.
GBH.
GBH.
What have you been on today, oh Marty? That's what I want to know. I will say love.
What else?
Stealing.
Stealing. What is less? What would be less than beating somebody? I mean, you women
showing love. That's what I'm saying. Showing love.
No, a little bit less. So you're going a little bit less. So broken leg, is it, or something like that?
What is it when a man screams and shouts at a woman and they're really angry?
Abuse.
What is that? Verbal
abuse.
Abuse. Thank you. So
right.
you've got
it was something we had to guess.
verbal.
Let us into the secret. I didn't realise.
So you've got verbal abuse. And
right.
then what you're doing is you're looking at all of the things that would be less in impact or power that you thought about. Now, you might well get that you've got 7 letters that you've actually done that are physically. You've then got to start transmit that to thought. So what's the worst thing that a woman could think about to another woman?
Beat her up.
Well, listen, you guys, don't pretend like you don't understand me. But, you know, you're that good.
Did you hear Sister Patricia?
What is it a woman would do? What is it you could think of that would be really bad for another woman? Yeah. So
Sister Patricia said, beat her
yeah,
up.
good one. I love.
What was that?
Say it again. Say it again.
Sleeping with another woman's man.
Ah,
that's a good one.
That's a good one. So what would you say would be the word, the one word that would cover that?
She's a slut.
Oh.
No, there's another word for that. What? You're calling her a slut. So this is what you're describing yourself as being, is a slut. Yeah? So what you're saying
you can call it a tart.
You're a slut when you teeth another man from another woman.
You can call her a tart.
Or a Jezebel. Call her a Jezebel. That sounds a bit better.
A Jezebel.
It's a homebreaker.
Oh, yeah. Or home
Okay,
breaker.
let's say home breaker, all right?
Or home wrecker.
A
That's
wrecker. Okay, home wrecker. So you would now say that you have wrecked someone else's home by attacking and teething another woman's husband. Yeah?
Yeah, but you can't teach. Sorry, I'm not making this to be a relationship thing, because I know that you're looking at dyslexia, but I'm just saying you can't steal somebody if they're not meant, if they don't want to go.
No, of course not.
So
It
it's
might
not,
be
I don't
just,
think
it
it's
might
about
be that
stealing. It's
there's
about
no judgment. There's no judgment here. There's no judgment here, Chaz. We're just talking about how you would assimilate what would be less than the previous word. So what you would do. Now, I would class myself as a bitch if I went and teeth another man or went and slept with another man, knowing that he was married.
You're talking as a woman, I take
As
it.
a woman, yeah. I would call myself
That's what I'm looking at.
a
You
bitch.
see my face
Wait,
there.
where's the guys? Wait, guys, help me. What would you call yourself if you went and slept with another woman, knowing that you were married? What would you call yourself?
Jezebel.
Come on, guys.
So Alpha, can I just clarify? You said on the first level, it was like you'd kill and what is that? GBH or whatever. But then you said the next level is a thought.
No, what I'm saying, no, yeah. Give me a
But
hand.
then,
I mean, it's the first time I'm trying to explain.
oh, okay.
Like,
Yeah, so that would be, what are you thinking?
So hold on a minute. So what I'm saying is along the bottom you would start off with what you would actually be doing. So you could be poisoning that person, or you could be what you would physically do to somebody. Yeah, but as you go down, the words that the actual act comes out of the physical into the thought, doesn't it?
Okay, so the first line is something that you've actually done, or is it something, the worst thing you could actually think of doing?
Well, no, it's both. So what you're doing is, let's say that you can only think of 4 things that you've done physically. The rest is all thought.
Okay, so you put down, you start off with the worst thing as each individual one of us has actually done.
Yeah.
Right.
So this
So
is
the worst thing we can think of.
Yeah, so this is about what you have done to somebody else, not about what somebody else has done to you. It's
Okay.
what you have done.
Right.
So I sat down the other day and I wanted to slap Teresa because she beat me up or slagged me off or ruined my male ego in front of everybody while I was at school.
So it could be any time. It doesn't have to be now. It could, as you said, it could be way in your past, the worst thing you've ever done in your past.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you slapped someone. So you've created a physical abuse to somebody. You've turned around and you've told someone something that has really damaged them. So let's say, yeah, verbal. What is another thing? What is another word that's less than verbal that you could do to someone else? Hey guys, you're letting the sides down here. How many guys have we got in here tonight?
Send them to Coventry.
I think I'm the only one, aren't
I? Sorry?
You could swear at them. You could swear at them.
Yeah, so you would put down swear. So if you slapped someone, your child, let's go on to your child, your brother or your sister. There is a thought that you can come up with that will help you to climb through your steps of understanding. Yeah, there is something that you can find that you have done to somebody that will help you to get through that particular phase of it. Now, you may have to sit down and think about it. You might only get up to here after the first week. But then on Monday, if you're back here on Monday, I want to know how many words you've actually put in. You do not have to tell me what you've written in your boxes. That is totally up to you. It's private. There is nobody that's going to ask you what's in your pyramid. That is yours. But what I will be asking you in the questionnaire at the end is, what's your first word and what's your last word?
So do you start at the bottom and work to the top, or do you start from the top and work to the bottom?
No, you start from the bottom, and it's the worst thing you've ever done.
Yeah.
And you gradually, so like you're milking it down or watering it down until you get
to the top.
To the top.
Do you understand the theory behind what I'm asking you to actually do?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I do, but I don't know. You have to ask each individual one so you can explain it properly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
Sharon,
I think it's to learn. I think it's to learn to let it go before you act.
Let it go.
Yeah, let the anger or the bad feelings go before you turn them into actions.
Yeah, but sorry, what is your name?
My name is Antonia.
Antonio, that is okay. That is fine. That is exactly what you're trying to do. But whilst you were learning how to do that, you actually went past that particular stop and you actually did something.
Okay.
So give me one word that is less than slapping someone. Anybody, give me one word that is less than slapping someone.
Cursing. I said swear, because swear sometimes help you.
Okay, so let's put slap, and then let's put swear.
Emotional abuse.
Emotional abuse. That's now you're getting it. Now you're getting it. After emotional abuse, what would be the next less thing that you would do? Anybody?
Not showing interest.
Yeah?
Ignore.
No interest. Yeah,
Ignoring.
no interest. No interest. Yeah? So you'd put down
Ignore.
no interest. Yeah, ignore. Go on, what else?
Distant yourself from the person.
Yes, exactly. So now you're getting it. Now you're
Malice.
Bringing pain to the person.
Exactly.
Malice.
Exactly. So think about all of the things that you have done or wanted to do to somebody, that once you've gone past the physical part of actually doing it, we know that we've all beat up our little brother or our little sister. We know we've already hit the next door neighbor. We know we've already beat up somebody. We know we've already slept with someone's husband or wife. We know we've already slapped someone, and we know we've already done all of these things. These are things that we all should have done. If you haven't lived a life. The only thing I haven't done is actually killed someone. So, dear God, don't ever put that one on me.
What was your name again? I'm sorry. My name is Rick, ma'am. Rick. Ah, Rick. Okay. My
I think somebody's having a conversation there. We just cut them off.
I want you. Sorry.
Right.
All right.
Go ahead.
So do we understand what it is that you're trying to do now and how to fill your pyramid?
Yeah.
Who doesn't understand?
Sharon, do you know? Sharon Johnson, Do you understand what it is that you're being asked to do when it comes to doing the pyramid? The reasons why I ask is because all of us, every single one of us in this chat suffers with dyslexia. All of us. I haven't totally cleared my dyslexia. So, you know, don't feel no way about admitting to something like that. We're here to try and sort the problem out. And the one thing that you need to understand and that you need to be able to do is you need to be able to face your own truth.
What are you describing as is dyslexia? Dyslexia.
It's a condition that stops you from doing something or understanding
Vai te
something.
vestir, vai buscar o teu roubo.
Carry on.
Yeah, it's something that stops you, it's something that makes you go blank. So the information comes in, I want to put one foot in front of the other, but I'm not able to do that. I can't do it. Why can't I do it? You know, I want to be able to, okay. I want to cry while I'm sitting down watching a film next to my wife. And I turn around and I go, "You're all right, darling, there's a lot, you know, oh, blimey, this is a bloody stupid film, isn't it? You know?" But I'm crying and I'm wiping the tears away from my eyes, but I'm not letting my other half know that I'm crying. This is what men do. A man grows up from a boy. He falls over and he grazes his knees, and his mum or his dad turns around to him and says to him, "What are you?" And the boy stands up, "Ah!" And then the mother or the father, not understanding, says, "What are you, a man or a mouse?"
No, I don't agree with that.
That's not dyslexia, is it?
No, but what it does is it's turning around and telling you not to express how you feel.
As a father, I would never, if one of my children fell over and hurt themselves, I wouldn't ask them, "Are you a man or a boy?" I'd say, "Oh, sorry, son, let me have a look," and so on and so forth. And I'm not no different from any other father.
Well,
You can't just
I would beg to differ, because I know that my mother turned around and said to me, "What are you, a man or a mouse?" And I
exactly.
love my mother. You know, I love my mother.
But what is usually said is boys don't cry.
That's right.
So they have to, they withhold their emotions and they don't release it.
Exactly. So what happens
Sister
to
Patricia?
men is that we get stunted. But did you know that women live longer because they know how to express themselves?
Sister Patricia?
Yeah, I think what we're getting confused here, I think, in terms of, as you said, Arthur, how men deal with emotions and how women deal with emotions. And I think they're really distinct in terms of the nurturing aspect that women are able to bring. Men are also able to be nurturing, but I think the society conditions them to behave in different ways. They have to go, you know, out and provide for the woman, whereby the woman, in terms of children and the housework and the home, you know, there's a different in terms of what's expected.
Exactly.
So in terms of the words that you were asking for, what came into my head was thoughts, words, and deeds. And I think for many, for me as a woman, I actually go through those processes before I take action, you know, in terms of how I feel, what my thoughts are, thinking about what decision I want, what action I want to take, and then take that action.
Right, now reverse. Now hold on 1 second. Now stop there. Right, now go back to a time in your past where you didn't know how to do that.
I think, Arthur, to be honest with you, I've always been able to do that because I was taught that from a child.
Well,
I was taught that from a child to be, well, one, to be considerate of other people and to think about my actions before I actually took action.
Okay, so what did you do with that emotion then that was built up as a result of something that you did?
Well, I can think of an incident when I asked a question, and rather than actually get an answer, I actually got physically assaulted, and I kept that emotion in.
Okay, so
yeah?
Is that emotion still in you?
I think I've addressed it.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Because in addressing it, I've actually shouted, you know, not to the person, but shouted how I feel about the person.
Good.
I've shouted it out because I've, you know, when I say
Good.
shouted that, I've gone through processes of counselling.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
which has enabled me to actually express
Brilliant.
how I feel,
yeah,
or how I felt about the way that person treated me, and then to be able to go on to say why they should not have done that.
Yeah, brilliant. You're very, very lucky to be able to have done that. You know, look at somebody who's been brought up in care all their life, and they end up in the same situation, and they've never had anybody there to be able to nurture them through a situation like that. You know, some of us are really, really lucky to be able to express ourselves, or we don't, or should I say it another way? We don't value the way that we express ourselves, because the trauma that we go through life creates a situation that hits you, or a button that will make you react in a certain way if it's not dealt with.
Yeah.
You've dealt with it by screaming and shouting. Imagine the amount of people, Patricia, that are out there that didn't even have that tool. They didn't even know that by screaming and shouting actually helped to relieve some of the anger, or pent up anger that's actually inside there.
Yeah, yeah.
You
and
know?
I think you're absolutely right. And I think, you know, there is a need for many people, you know, if not everybody, to have the opportunity to actually reflect on hurt feelings. Experience of damage emotions. Things that's happened to them where they were prevented from expressing how they felt because either they were told to shut up, or they were told it doesn't matter, it's not that important, we don't want to hear what you have to say, we don't care. You know, all these are all rejections, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And people actually have those pent up emotions, and it, you know, what they say is it takes it's a straw that breaks the camel's back. Maybe something small occurs, and it triggers all those buried emotions, all those buried feelings, and it's like a volcano then that erupts.
So you end up with so much of that same information all coming through, different actions that have happened through your life, and then what happens is it comes to a bottleneck. So all of those things that you have just mentioned ends up in a bottleneck. And then you end up, the slightest little thing that happens then is what breaks the camel's back. And then all of a sudden, what happens is you then just go, hit this point, and then it's nothing but anger. You lash out, or you say, or you do, or you, what is it, fight or flight?
Fight or flight.
Yeah, or run away.
Or freeze.
Or freeze. Mm-hmm. And don't underestimate the freezing attitude of being a doormat for somebody. Because I'm going to admit to you that for the majority of my life, I've been a doormat. And I think that that's one of the things that's been able to allow me to be able to stand back and be able to observe rather than acting like most people do. And I have lashed out. I'm not saying that I haven't lashed out, I have lashed out, but I've still been able to observe and write down what I was doing, what actually was happening to me, and why it was happening to me, and put myself in that person's foot. What did I do to create that? And then you think to yourself, oh, okay, so then you become a doormat. And then what you say, well, okay, you did something. And then you go, and then gradually you're beating yourself up. And then gradually you're giving yourself self-loathing, and which gradually builds up and up and up. And then the same thing happens again. You name any word that there is out there, jealousy, what else?
Envy.
Give me another word that's really, really
Envy.
bad. Sorry?
Envy.
Envy. Good one. Anybody else? Give me another word.
Resentment.
Monster.
Great. Brilliant. What another word? Monster. Come on. What else is there?
Resentment. Bitterness.
Well, bitterness. Wow. Look at bitterness. I mean, that's a massive word. Hate. That's only 4 letters, and yet look what hate has done to so many people. You know, it's incredible that we look at life and we look at all of the words that you have just mentioned is an onion. Look at it like this. So let's put hate right there in the middle. And then another problem happens. And then another problem happens. And then another problem happens. And then another problem happens.
When you're trying to express yourself to all those people who's been doing those things to you, and they just blank you out. Exactly. And for so many years of your life, since your childhood, so many traumas have occurred to you from your uncles, your grandmas, your aunties, your extended family members. And then you have a mother who you think you can relate to, or you find yourself in a different environment, a culture that doesn't accept that, or, you know, people experience it differently. And you try to tell your mother who you feel comfortable with, and then she has her own issues that she's dealing with, and she doesn't even listen to you, even till when you're 40 years old. You know, they just blank you out. Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Like, oh, it happened to me. My daddy did it to me, so I could be it was done to me, so I could be of success. That's why I am where I am today. I'm like, mother, do you have to carry on the same family ill treatments to your children? There's a way you say it. Does it have to occur? You know, like, because you've gone through bad circumstances, you're expecting me to go through that? I'm a different being, you know? And then the years of trauma, the years of blocking your emotions, and then you find yourself in different relationships, and then you try to express yourself. People are just, you know, taking your energy. They're just suppressing your emotions. They're suppressing you. And then it's like, okay, there's a conflict now. Okay, why are you so aggressive? That's because, subconsciously, I'm trying to protect my my territory. I'm trying to protect there's a way you say it. I don't want people to cross my territory. So when you talk to me, like, okay, I'm going to be a bit defensive. Don't even go there, because you're going to trigger something that you don't even want to know. And then I'll be expressing myself. You don't even know where all this evilness that is within one, you know, and no one hears, no one listens, you know. It's like only you understand. You understand. I can see it clearly. Only I understand. But I'm trying to tell you, you're not understanding. Okay.
Exactly.
So basically the pyramid system is by from my understanding now, is like to have a reflection, sit down and reflect all my childhood memories, the ones that I could remember. Because the other day I was just talking to my cousin. I didn't remember no childhood memories. All I remembered was the bad things in my life. And then my cousin was there talking to me. I was reflecting. I was saying, oh, wow. So this, you know, it's like, I need somebody else to tell me my childhood. And all I could remember was people beating me up, making me to study, to be so educated, you know, punishing me for things that I don't even understand why, you know, and it's so much hate. You know, it's like,
Arthur, could the pyramid work in that way also? So rather than the worst thing that you've done to somebody, can it work that the worst thing that's actually happened to you?
Happened to
can,
you.
Can you do it that
but
way?
it can, but what I want to be able to show you guys at this first level. Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, and everything that you've just gone through, I'm going to help you through the 8 steps to remove all of these onion that you've got and get to the core problem. So I'm hoping that before you finish this course that you will see what's in that word hate, because it's not until you blow the first thing that's creating that problem that you'll get rid of that particular problem. And I'm hoping that what I will be able to do over the 8 steps is help you with every single word that has created an imprint on your life. But for the purposes of this, what we're trying to do is we're looking at what we have done to others, because I have found out that even though it might only be slight and it might only be a thought, this builds up a problem and that you are unable to deal with. It's easy for us to sit down and say, Patrick did this, my mum did that, my dad did that, the guy around the corner, my uncle did that, and those guys did that, and that woman did that. And it's easy for us to be able to say what has been done to us because we can see what's happened to us. But what we don't understand is the mechanism behind what we did, what we have done to someone else. Because for as much as you have felt something, somebody has done that to you. They have created that problem.
So it's the same learned behavior or the same learned experiences that one has gained from the past experience. And when one comes into conflict with others, they subconsciously we have a greater impact, if you know what I mean. Like we try to hurt. Like for instance, if I'm having an argument with someone, and then I will have all this rage in me because I'm in a place where, you know, I don't know if you understand. It's like I'll be doing the things that I'm not supposed to do to this person.
I do understand what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say to you is that there is a hidden problem that none of us ever look at or address in our lifetime. What we do is we can deal with what has happened to us because we felt it, we know how to express it, or at some stage in our life, we learn the ability to be able to express it. But this is another side of you that creates a dichotomy, a way of being able to create an argument in your head that is there constantly, that you don't know what it is that's creating a problem, but you just know that there's a problem. And it's very, very hard for us to put our finger on that problem. And what I want to do is to show you this way into thinking about who you are and what that problem is before you start dealing with what you know is wrong with you. I want to deal with what you don't know and what you've not been able to figure out for yourself. That's what the pyramid is here to help you do. And it's the hidden side of you that I want you to now try and look at and look for and try and understand how that is playing a part in your mind and the way that you think. You know, because sometimes, I mean, how many times have we sat down and we're laughing away with everybody and brilliant, and then all of a sudden it could be the slightest thing, the cup is left on the floor, the slightest little thing, and it can ruin you for the whole day. And you just sit there and you just think, how on earth can a cup be in the wrong place, creating a problem for me? What's stopping me from being happy? You know, why is it I can't, why is just that one little thing created a problem? This is the area that I want to attack and show you the way in, because the other ways we already know. And the other ways we've already been able to deal with those. This particular part of the mechanism inside you is what creates an argument that you can't touch, that you find difficult in trying to understand exactly what it is. Because we go through life and we look at our mum and we look at our dad. Yeah? We look at our mum and we look at our dad. We take what's positive from dad and we take what's positive from mum and we take that through to ourselves. So I like mum when she's like this. Yeah, mum, you're great. I love dad when he's like this. But when dad's had a beer and he's just come home from playing dominoes, I'm out of the way. Or when mum has had an argument with dad and dad slapped mum, mum's going to come at me. Or when I was younger, I went to my mum and I said to mum, Mum, Charlie did blah, and she slaps you across the back of the head. The expression that we have that comes from out of those actions and those emotions are built up inside us that create like a dichotomy. You end up with an argument with yourself, and most of us don't even know that it's an argument that you need to be dealing with. And this is what the pyramid actually revealed to me while I was going through it. So if you just bear with me, and if you can just write down exactly what those words are, I'm going to ask you at the end of the course, at the end of the 3 weeks, what, and if you finish your pyramid before, then let me know what your first and last word is. And then we can move on from there, and I can show you then on the next step what each of those words have actually done to you to create an argument that you've never been able to face before. It's there in the back of your head and it's niggling you. We can all sit down and we can all say, Peter did this, what's the name did that. We've all got that. We've all got a story. We can all write a story about what's happened to us in our life. But we don't ever touch on the arguments that we're actually dealing with. We don't ever touch on self-loathing. We don't ever touch on why we dislike something. We don't ever touch on all of these other emotions that are there, stuck. How do I deal with it? I don't even know it's there in the first place. And that's what this will reveal to you. It will show you what's stuck in the way that you've never ever thought of. There is millions of people out there that are dealing with and that have other ways of being able to sort out a problem. I'm going to tell you another story, all right? I, throughout my life as well, have been regressed, and I've dealt with some really, really bad experiences. And one of my regressions, and for those that don't know exactly what that actually is, it's going back and trying to deal with past life traumas. And I remember very, very, very vividly being beaten by the master's son, who was teaching his son how to whip a slave. And the pain that I actually went through with that regression, I can tell you was painful. Another part of my life that I went through, that I dealt with in regression, was being boiled. Because I slept with Charlie's wife while he was out on in the field. And being boiled alive. Charlie was the master. Charlie was the master. The master's wife turned around and told me, if you don't lay with me, I'm going to tell my husband you raped me. You know, so when you look at all of these things, and I know that I've mentioned to you guys that we look at our lineage and we look at the way that our past heritage is in our DNA. What our fathers went through is in our body. What our mothers went through is in our body. It's in our DNA. But what we sometimes don't do, and what we're not able to do, is to understand the messages that are coming to us. Now, sometimes in life, I mean, for me, what happened to me was I wanted to get back to France. And I spent 15 years traveling around France trying to find this place that I can settle in. And one day I found it, and it's in a beautiful place called Collioure, which is right at the bottom of France, right next to Spain. Now, for some reason in my life, I don't need to be a priest in this lifetime, because I know I've already been there. You know, I don't want to be that and devote my life to God, the Most High, because I feel that I've already been there. But now I'm looking at a situation whereby I have this burning thing inside of me to do this and to get it out and to help people, show them another side of a part of our nature that we are not able to deal with because we don't know it's there in the first place. You know, I could sit here for the next 3 weeks, if you know, and just say to you, you know, there are lots of people out there being able to deal with what you've done. There are psychiatrists out there that have got 20 and 30 years thing that would be able to analyze why you scratched your head at the moment I said doo-doo, you know, or something like that. This is not what this is about. This is about helping us to get past an argument that we have inside of us that's constantly there that we don't know how to deal with. And I am going to open the doors for you and help you to find out what it is that's in your way, stopping you from those moments when you're there on your own and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, what am I going to do to be happy? What is this? I'm only happy for a few minutes. Now, I hope that everybody has just understood just a little bit of what I'm trying to convey and what I'm trying to get across to everybody, because this progression through to 28 words leads you somewhere, which I will take you on that journey and hopefully get you to a full understanding of where there is. And it's
just go.
Sorry?
I said Patricia's got her hand up.
Patricia?
Yeah, I just, in terms of my own personal development,
Yeah.
I've done a variety of counselling techniques. I mean, there's reevaluation co-counselling.
Yeah.
There's psychodynamic counselling.
Yeah.
There's person-centered Rogerian counselling,
Yeah.
which I have done. And alongside that, I have just grown up with people trying to listen and hear and respect and value others.
Yeah.
Knowing that I'm not alone, I'm with other people. So in terms of communication, the best way to have effective communication with people is to listen, hear, and respond. So I've developed certain skills. So what this eight-step pyramid reminds me of is a form of counselling.
No. Well, yes, it is. But like you've just like you've just said, that you have been listening to other people for a long time.
Yeah.
How long have you actually sat down and spent listening to yourself?
Well, I've always listened to myself, to be honest, because I've grown up by myself. I've grown up with my father. It's been my father and me.
I understand that. I understand that. But if you bear with me, and by no means am I trying to diminish in any way, shape or form, I am turning around and I am saying to you that this is what helped me.
Yeah. Well, what makes me interested is to maybe stay with you in terms of the course, is to see how similar your techniques may be alongside all the others that I've practiced.
I hope and I'm praying that it'll be nothing like.
Well, that would be great, because that'd be a new technique that I would have learned.
I'm praying that it's nothing like anything that you've done, purely because I'm attacking an area that people don't even know it's there.
Yeah, but you're using words, aren't you? You're using words, and with words, you know, you can look at words in a positive or a negative way.
Yeah.
And the power of words is, you know, when you hear a word, you you use the word earlier on, bitch. Now, bitch in relation to a man, I have a bit of problems actually, putting those together. Yeah. I mean, I know that they use it. It's a way that people, particularly in America, use to describe, themselves or be disrespectful. But for me, bitch is a female dog.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would never use that in relation to a male or a female, unless I'm talking about dogs.
Forgive me, I'm learning how to demonstrate something.
No, I hear you.
This is my first time.
He was just giving an
example. I'm just trying to provoke thought in yourself.
He was just giving an example, Patricia. So what the words that you use is what you use.
Yeah.
You don't use somebody else's words, as you were saying. He doesn't want to put words into your mouth.
I know, but the thing is, the pyramid consists of words, isn't it? It's different words.
Yeah, but whose words are they?
You're putting your words in there. Only your words.
I'm trying my hardest not to
influence
any words. And I'm not trying, all I want to do is to help you with the process that I want you to go through. The words that are on here, I will show you why you've used those words. I will hopefully show you something about that you've never ever, I'm hoping.
It's your own words that you use.
Yeah, it's your
own
own
words. You don't use
words.
anybody else's words. It's your own words that you use.
I'm totally aware of NLP. I'm trying my hardest not to put any words in anybody's mind, which is why I was trying to provoke everybody, just so that you could, if you're not going to partake in coming up with the words, you can hear what other people are using. And this is another thing that I want you to all take on and understand. You have got my phone number now, and at any stage, do not feel too proud to get on the phone and speak to me if you have a problem or if you're dealing with something that you don't quite understand. I'm not saying that I will have the answer for you, but I can only convey to you the journey that I've been through, and actually dealing with a dichotomy where I was actually arguing with myself and wanted to physically fight with myself, which, Patricia, you'll understand exactly what that actually means. But, you know, to a lot of people, we're fighting with ourselves and we don't even realize that we actually are. I really do believe that this is a game changer for us, for people. I really do believe it. Because like I said to you, I mean, there are so many things that I could have done, and I don't know why God has given me this to do this, and why he said to me, you're going to do X, Y, and Z, you know, coming from being a bricklayer and a builder and what have you, and coming up with all of this. I have no idea. I wouldn't even begin to be able to tell you how I can answer that. All I'm doing is I'm just following what is being given to me to pass on. And I want each and every one of you to teach this to somebody else. I'm giving this to you free. I want you to have an agreement with me that you will pass this on with one other person, then I'm happy.
Okay.
You've passed that on with somebody. If you've been able to pass this on to somebody else, then you have totally understood what this is about. And that's what I want, is everybody to totally understand what this is.
You've got Cynthia, you have a question? Cynthia?
Yes, I am here.
Okay.
It's not actually a question, but it's
Cynthia from Nigeria. Whoa!
Yes.
Auntie G, this is Cynthia, the school that I want to help. Where the funds are going for this. And by the way, those people that don't know where the funds are going for this, I'm going to say it again. 25% is going to Cynthia. And that's to help her with her school in Africa. The other 25% is going to Auntie Jean and her vision of having
Garvey Village.
Is going towards Garvey Village to help that. And another 25% is going to the Philippines in order to do what Cynthia's doing as well in the Philippines. So this is not by any means of me getting rich quick or whatever. It's a case of I want to help, and I genuinely want to help. So, sorry, Cynthia, what did you say? Sorry.
Okay, I'm very excited to be here. I've been struggling with the network. It's been so terrible here in Nigeria, you know, finding it hard to come online and participate in what.
Unfortunately, this is the biggest.
But I'm very grateful to make a little comment for everybody who's online and watching and learning. When I first met Arthur, he told me that he had something that he wanted to teach me based on the vision I shared to him concerning my intentions to also teach people and make them learn. And then he passed on the pyramid. He told me how I would go about it. And from the comment, I can't really remember the name of the lady who spoke last, not Auntie Jenny. I don't really know her
Patricia?
name. Sorry. Patricia, yes, Patricia. I think that's her. Now, she talked about she said she listens to herself. Now, I know the pyramid is not just about listening to yourself, but it's more about trying to hear and understand. So you don't just try to find out things happening around you by making mere conclusions of the actions of people, you also need to consider yourself first. So the pyramid will actually help us discover ourselves, to find out really who we are, and also to be able to know how we use the words and be able to understand the words and know, because the words really that we use matter a lot, but most people don't know. So in the course of our lives, we don't just have to be careless with our words, especially those ones that mean a lot. So at times when we sit down and think about things that have happened to us in our lives, and we try to navigate and try to push down blames to other people, we still have to consider that we have our own choices to make. So the pyramid is quite a good start for people who want to discover themselves, ranging from the things that have happened to them in the past. That's just what I have to say. Thank you so much, Arthur, for the opportunity. I'm grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Cynthia.
feel so embarrassed now.
Please don't be.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've, I've actually worked on it though.
so you've used the pyramid. You've obviously you have
Yes, I
done the
have.
pyramid
He
method.
he actually taught me how to use it. Yes, he taught me how to use it. Although I had a very great difficulty trying to complete all the words. It took me a lot of time. It took me a lot of time because I had to think deeply about things that have hurt me in the past, and then try to feel up the emotions, things that I have tried to practice on my own, not really considering other people and how much they have hurt me, but now how much I've almost hurt myself, and how much I've allowed my experiences to affect my daily life. So it was quite a great start. Initially, I didn't really know that there's so much harm I've caused myself, not really from my past. Sometimes we think it's just our past that is hurting us, but we don't really know that we hurt ourselves too when we lay hold of the past a long time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
that. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Cynthia.
thank you so much, Cynthia. Sorry guys, I was there giving you a bit of my experience, and to what Cynthia said, I think I have come to a better learning about it's not about what my past what my past did to me. It's about how do I reflect on my past and making me to be a better person, which I believe I am, because I sit down and I reflect. I'm like, oh, I'm the nicest person that everyone will want to know. But why is it that I'm so angry? Why is it I'm so nasty to certain people, And why do I express myself in such a manner? And to what Cynthia said, I have to think of myself first, knowing who I am, the loving person or the being that I am, and show that out there, instead of me using my past to paint myself in a bad way, of what people what some of my enemies might want to expect from me. But let me just continue to shine and heal myself through that way. Am I right? I don't know, Cynthia. That's my understanding. I was just reflecting on that because I felt so bad, and I feel somehow relieved as well.
I think that,
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I think she got dropped out. Is she still there? Or she got dropped out?
I'm here.
Cynthia was talking.
Oh.
I think she's, oh, Cynthia is there.
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you hear what Mayata said?
Yes, I heard what she said. Our teacher is here. I guess he has all the answers to all the questions that we have to put out together. But the one thing I know is that the pyramid is a great plug for whatever it is a person is passing through, especially ranging from the past experiences that they must have had.
Yeah, because we just don't understand what it is that makes us a whole. we can deal with certain things that are there in front of us. We know what people have done to us and we know how we've felt. But we don't, in all honesty, look at what we've done to others and the way that what somebody has done to us has hit us and impinged on us and made us do to somebody else. And how a child can be crying all day long and then all of a sudden you snap and you scream and shout, and then you don't know what that damage has done to that poor child because the child hasn't got any patience yet, doesn't know how to deal with that. But yet that has in itself has hurt you. And you may think that you're going through your life without actually that impinging on you, but it has had an effect on you. And this is what I want to deal with in the peeling back of your onions of all of your words that you place in the pyramid. I'm going to help you dive in and understand each of the words that you put in the pyramid so that you can gain a better understanding. And what it will do is it'll do exactly what I have experienced and what I've been able to do, and that is it will help the information to flow. You will unblock those neural pathways that have been damaged with pain, with shock, because the shock is the one thing that really, really, really affects those neural pathways to understand a problem that has actually happened to you. I mean, that you have done to somebody else, and that has happened to you and stopped you from thinking the way that you should be able to think and that you should be able to deal with. For instance, arguing with yourself and looking at different perspectives in the way of understanding. We are what's the word I'm looking for? It's here somewhere. We are an intuitive race, and our intuition has been interrupted by the English language. And the way that it has interrupted the way that we think is purely through misunderstanding. Now, we can express a word that and I'm trying to think of a word. Think of the word hate, because somebody's already brought that up. How many different ways could you use the word hate in a sentence? Whether it be negative or positive, come up with as many words as you possibly can with the word hate in it. Patricia, if you give me one sentence, just give me one sentence with the word hate.
I've tried to tell my children not to use that word because that word is very negative, very, very powerful and very, very negative. And if you use that word, you're actually, it's about what you have in yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think hate is is positive in any way at all.
Yeah, but what I want to do, Patricia, is to show you how you can use the word hate in a positive way.
I avoid using that word.
Okay.
I'll volunteer.
All right, go on then.
I hate being I hate, I heard the word. I'm trying to use it on me. I hate being angry.
You hate being
at
angry.
myself.
Okay. Auntie Jean, give me another sentence using the word hate. Now it can be positive or negative.
Hate. I hate the snow.
Okay. Ches, give me a sentence using the word hate.
I'm like Sister Patricia. I don't use that. I use dislike.
Okay.
So that's my
I dislike
alternative.
intensely.
Yeah.
I
that's what I've been
I
taught.
totally understand, but what I want to do is I just want to demonstrate something.
I know, but I can't do it. Is there anybody else that can
All right. Is there anybody there? Cynthia,
Yeah, anybody
give me another
else?
sentence. Give me another sentence with the word hate in.
Okay, I'll do that. I hate the way the cat works.
Okay, very good. Now I'm going to give you a word with the word hate. I hate the way how you make my heart, how you make my stomach burst with laughter every time you say blah. Now, each of the way that that's been expressed has given the word a lesser and lesser way of being able to, by different perspectives in the way that you have looked at the word hate, because for you, Ches, and for you, Patricia, there is a lot still there lurking of the word hate that still has an effect on you, that you haven't been able to transfer the word hate from a negative to a positive. And that transition is your perspective. Whether you look at the glass being half full or half empty.
Can I ask a question?
What I'm hoping for is that this will help you to be able to look at the words that you put in your pyramid and come to a positive.
Yeah. Carl's got a question for you.
Go ahead. Carl?
So in the way that you just used the word hate, is that a positive or negative?
I would like to say that it was erring more towards the positive.
But so why would you hate the way someone makes you burst with
Because it's
laughter?
making my gut, I'm looking at it from the point of view that it's the laughter. When you get a gut-wrenching laughter that hurts, have you never had that laughter where it actually hurts you in your stomach where you've laughed?
But I can cry tears of joy, but it's not a painful. So I wouldn't hate that. And if you've got laughter, I wouldn't see how that relates to hate.
Okay, the point of what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to say to you is this: is that we've used the word hate. The word might be something else for you. It might be jealousy. It might be anger. It might be some other word. But each of us have our own words of. That is, we're looking at it from a negative point of view, and we're not able to see the positive within that word. The transition from negative to positive is something, the duality is part of the duality of life. And what I'm hoping to be able to do is to help you look at the transition of any word, Carl, that it could be anything that means something to you that you're not seeing the positive side of, that can also have a devastating effect on the negative side. So when you look at your response to somebody saying to you, oh, I hate those shoes, it don't necessarily have to have Patricia's reaction, where the word hate definitely is in a negative. It can be, it changes your perspective to look at the word hate in a positive way of, in a positive perspective.
The word hate as a positive.
Yeah.
I can't see it. I can't see it. I'm being truthful. I can't see it. Where
that's okay, Ches. That's okay, because the point of this is that you're not using my words. You're using your words, and it's your words is what's going to have the effect on you. It's not my words. Yeah, because so I hate. I'm waiting. I need to be able to see the word hate in your pyramid. And Patricia, it needs to be in yours as well.
You put in, I hate the word hate.
What's the song? There's a song. There's a song. Was it I hate hate? What's the song? Come on, you guys. But this is the angle that I'm coming at, and already I'm really glad at the way that you guys are coming at me with it, because it's making me try to shift your way of thinking just a little bit, and I only need just that little bit for you to put the words in here. Then I will show you another step. But you have to go through, when you're changing your perspective and you're moving from the negative to the positive and trying to make yourself create a happier lifestyle, you have to be able to see both sides, because you cannot live a life in just la la land, where everything is just perfect and there's no crap and there's no anger and there's no strife of life. You have to be able to look at these words that have formed your perspective on life and be able to linger there for a second, but not hang around and let it drag you down. So you'll come across life looking at it, being able to see the negative, but not hang around on it, not dwindle around on it, not sit there and think, oh, well, how can I do this? Well, why did I do that? You know, don't linger on it. You automatically, you've learned how to transition from negative to positive. You can't have one without the other. There has to be a duality in life. The helix has what is above, so is below. You've got the energy traveling in both directions in order to help movement, help action. So it's that duality that I want to be able to, hopefully at the end of the day, be able to give us all a good grounding and be able to raise consciousness for all of us. That's what I hope it will do. Any other questions? I've done that. I've done that.
It's quite anybody. Is anything that anybody doesn't understand?
For next week. All right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to read you a sentence, all right? And then for your homework, I want you to come back with your own words next week, all right? Now, it's very simple, but I want you all to write the words down, okay?
Can I just ask before you read your sentence, you know, because I came in late.
Okay.
How many levels are those? Is the pyramid?
How many levels? There's 8 steps. There's 8 steps.
8 steps. So you start with 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. Okay.
You start with 7 at the bottom, isn't it?
No.
Is it 7?
She was saying how many steps.
Yeah, no, but how many blocks at the bottom?
7 across the bottom, and then
there's 7 at the bottom, then you go up into a pyramid. So you put another block on the 2.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Sorry. Right, you ready?
Okay. Have we got to write it down?
Yes, I want you to write it down, and I'm not going to read it fast. Little in this world.
What's that?
Little.
Oh, little.
Little in this world is harder than when the feelings cause you to hurt.
Arthur, you should have put that in the chat. It would have been much easier.
Well, I understand that it would have been, and I will put it in the chat.
Yeah,
but there's a purpose for you guys to write it down.
Somebody's put it in the chat.
Brilliant. That's what I believe in. I never believe in working harder. I believe in working harder. All right.
All right, cheers, nice. So it reads, little in this world is harder than caring about someone.
No.
Oh, did I not? There's a word that I missed out, wasn't there?
Where does caring come from?
Right. Did I miss the line? I missed the line. See, there's my dyslexia. See, there's my dyslexia coming out. Right, so let me read it again from the top. Little in this world is harder than caring about someone. That was the line I missed out.
Say again, little in this world.
Little in this world is harder than caring about someone when the feelings cause you to hurt. I'll read it again. Little in this world is harder than caring about someone when the feelings cause you to hurt. Yeah? So what I want you to do, now there is another part to this, there is two parts to this, but I'm not going to give you the second part until you come up with your words as to what that means.
So how many words do we need to find?
All I'm asking you to do is to give me your understanding of those words in your words. Does that make sense, or have I made that too difficult?
Sorry, I missed that. Can you repeat that sentence again, please? Because you keep having different.
It's all right. I'll put it in the chat for you.
Okay, thank you.
That's all right.
Do you mind if I read it out to her?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. Because it's important that I take notice of every single one of you. And if somebody asks me to do something again, I need to do it.
Okay.
Little in this world is harder than caring about someone when the feelings cause you to hurt. Now, it doesn't matter if you don't come up with anything for it, but what I'm trying to do here is to tease you to think another way. It may well be that you can't do those words until you've done module 2. It may well be that you can't do it until you end up with completing module 3. But the sentence will be there. And once you end up being able to see what those words actually mean, you're being able to see things from another perspective. All right, so that's your homework. And the other part of your homework is to come up with, if you can finish all of the 28 words by next Monday, brilliant. If you can't, don't worry about it, because it is a process that you're going through, that you're actually asking yourself, what's a lesser word than this? You're teaching yourself. You're teaching yourself how to transition from a positive to a semi-negative. Would that be a right way of explaining each word being lesser than the next one? Perhaps not. perhaps that's not a good example, but basically I'm just saying to you to write down what word is a lesser impact.
Okay, so do the summing up. So you want to start off with either the worst thought, or is it the worst thing that you've done?
Worst thing that you've done. So you're talking about the physical side. Just fill the bottom with all of the physical things that you've done to somebody else. Then when you've finished with all the physical things that you've done to somebody else, you then go on to the words that you've given to somebody else. The worst things that you've done to somebody else through your words. Then once you've done the words, I then want you to think of the worst things that you've thought about somebody else. Until you hit the top. Now that transition will lead you somewhere beautifully.
Can you say that again, please?
That transition will lead you somewhere beautiful, because your top word should be a positive word.
Did you mean the whole thing? The whole thing?
Yes, yes, the whole
reiterate the whole thing. The worst thing that you've done to somebody.
Yeah, so starting off from the bottom. So you've got what you've actually done to someone. Then you've gone, so the worst things that you've actually done to someone. So
it doesn't have to be now, it could be any time in your life, yeah? Any time in your life.
Any time in your life, from a childhood right the way through. Think of everything. Then think of the worst things, the worst words that you've said to someone that have hurt someone. Then think of the worst thoughts that you've done.
Cool. Some of us may need more than all those boxes.
Have 2 pyramids then.
Trust me.
What are you trying to say, Cole?
Cool, you got a long way to go, man. If you end up with more words than 28, that would be, so far I have had 4 teachers, 5 just normal people, and 3 professional people do it that have got nothing to do with being in this particular line of work. And nobody has come up with more than 28 to the top.
I was only being jovial, but seriously, some people could probably think of more than 28 things that they've said to someone, you know, whether it be hurtful or whatever. But I was only joking about it.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, you're only talking about how you can get to the next word, and to the next word that's lesser, and to the next word. So you're gradually climbing a wall to a positive. Yeah. So you're going from negative to positive.
Right. So we've got, what was the 4th layer?
I'm not giving away too much for you, but I'm learning how to
make sure I've got it correct. The worst thing that I have done to someone.
Yeah.
The worst words that I have used.
Yeah. Used at someone, aggressively, obviously.
Someone. And the last one is the worst thoughts that I have had.
So negative words.
The worst thoughts that I've had towards someone.
That's right.
Daily?
I was just saying, we just say negative word towards somebody. Because what you're just saying is positive and negative, yeah?
Yeah.
You want to have negative word at the bottom, and as we're getting up, we're supposed to get into at least, hopefully the last word is a positive word. That's what it looked like to me.
That's right.
Hopefully the last word is a positive word. Yeah, yeah.
That's right, because what you're doing is you're going from a physical action to using words. Now we all know that we all know what verbal abuse can do.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's what you've said to somebody else. And then we all know that we've stood in front of someone and we've gone, God, I wish if you would shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we've sat in front of somebody and we've gone, oh my God, here we go again. You know what I mean? Why did you have to ask him that question? And so on and so on, and until you get to the top.
Not be the worst thought. There may be right thoughts.
Yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying, but you see, I think as Patricia said it before. You see, sometimes some of us think about our actions. You know, if I say this to you, you might, what the worst thing you might do to you might punch me in the mouth. So I won't say that to you. Sometimes some of us think about our action. You see, before we say certain words, you see, I mean, but some of us we don't. We just, is it reactive?
Yeah.
And some of us are just reactive. But some of us we think about before we action, because I know if I go in the shop and I steal something, the worst outcome, I'll get arrested.
Yeah.
So I think about, well, no, I'm not going to try that one, because it might be hard for me to get a job because of my color and all the rest. And you know what I mean? It might be something small. So some of us might do think about our words or what word action might be before we might, should I use that term? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. But at the end of the day, you would have still had to have gone through a learning curve in order to get to that point. You've already done it and you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you don't do it again. You say to yourself, right, I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to get arrested. What for nicking a toilet roll? Do you know what I mean?
And if you're in the church, you say, well, that doesn't look good if I'm getting arrested for nicking a toilet roll and I'm in the church when the pastor hear about that. So you see what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Cheers.
I mean, have fun with it. I mean, anything that you have any problems with, just give me a buzz. And
no problem. Cheers.
Seriously, guys, I'm being really serious. If there's anything
I'll keep it to myself. I won't call you. I'll just keep it to myself.
Yeah, but that's the thing that I don't want you to do. You see, us men are so proud.
Yeah.
And what I want you to do is to forget about that proudness. It's an action or an emotion or a something that you don't need in your life. You need to be as open as you possibly can. You need to be able to say to someone, look, you're talking shit. Look, I really love you. You need to be able to go from the positive to the negative to speak to someone, because otherwise you're a blanket and somebody is going to be using you as a
doormat.
A doormat, yes. Right. You're going to be used as a doormat, or you're going to be a bully all your life.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? You need to be able to transition from the positive to the negative, and that's what this helps you to do.
So basically, what you're really saying, with a mother and a father, that's supposed to be helping us translate from the negative to the positive, in a sense, in a family situation. Is that what you're really saying? By speaking up to your mother and your father, is that what you're really trying to say? And it's supposed to help us?
To anybody, anybody, you need to be able to be in honesty to yourself. Your soul is trying to get something across. And don't forget, we are all teachers. We are all teaching the people that we're with. They are always teaching us. And the thing that we need to teach each other is to be able to converse with each other in honesty. And the only way that you can be honest with yourself is to understand that there are situations and there are words and there are things that we need to express that maybe the next person doesn't want to hear. But you need to be strong enough to be able to say it in a way that you don't provoke a nasty action to someone, and that they don't create a problem for you. So you need to be able to stand on both sides of the fence in any argument with yourself or your partner. Same with your children. You need to be able to deal with all of these things in a positive and a negative way. Because if you're constantly talking to your son or your daughter from an angry point of view, that's not giving them a way of being able to express themselves.
Right,
When you can express yourself to your children in a way that they can understand it, you're teaching them how to communicate with people. If they are not, if they are not listening to you, then you are saying, rather than shouting at the child and saying, blah, 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 listen to me, you say, could you just listen to me for a minute? Or however way it needs, you need to be able to do it, but you're doing it so that your son or your daughter can convey the same thing back to you without you being upset.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried many times, sometimes with people, and I've said to myself, someone says to me, oh, well, I wouldn't have said it like that.
Yeah.
And I've said, well, how do you want me to say? I don't know if you ever had somebody tell somebody something, and they say, oh, well, I wouldn't have said it. And I think, well, you're not me. You see what I mean?
Exactly. But exactly. And those words in itself can trigger somebody else to be angry or not angry.
Yeah.
Some people will take that to heart.
Yeah.
You know, and some people will just accept that, okay, that's the way it is, you know. You agree to disagree, or you agree.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would like us to be, you know, agree to disagree, because as I said, what you're saying, nothing is really wrong, really, or right. It's to find that balance inside the middle.
But the thing is your soul needs to be able to express itself. And the hardest thing in this life is being able to express without delivering in the negative, like you've just pointed out, or without delivering in the passive all the time, so that you become a doormat. It's got to be in a way that your soul is happy with the way of passing that information on to someone. You know, I've really got to move on. You know, I just can't take it anymore. It's just honestly, I just can't take it. We've spoken about it. It just doesn't work for me anymore. But I've given you everything that you done, and she can then turn around and say to you, but you know what? You haven't even looked after me. Look at what you went out and bought last week. You know, when was the last time you took me and the children out? When was the last time you even took me out for a dinner? She needs to be able to say that without provoking an argument with you, but it gives you a response that you can either deal with or not deal with. The choice is yours. And I'm hoping that I'm going to give you a tool that will help you to be able to deliver and respond in any situation. By the time you've got to 8, I'll be able to swear at you, and you won't be able to, and you won't want to swear back at me.
So basically, really, what I mean, it looked like the program is trying to say is for you to end. Is that like what you're supposed to do? Like empty yourself? Is that supposed to be? Is that what it's really trying to?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if I swear at you, I want you to be able to deliver words back to me that doesndoesn't include swearing.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
But at least you're conveying how you feel. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Without being macho and without being whatever you're. And forgive me if I'm stumbling sometimes trying to find the right words, because obviously when you're put on the spot, you're trying to find the words. I'm learning as how to teach at the same time of knowing what I know and trying to.
You know what? I mean, funny. I think in Europe, in England, I think it put a lot of pressure on us. I really think so. I mean, when I was growing up in Jamaica, I left there when I was 7. I think we were more freer, but when we come over here, I think we are. What I'm just quickly saying, right? You know, you ask somebody how they were, and they told you this from their heart how they were. But over here, you ask somebody how you are, they don't. They tell you a lie. Sorry to you. They say, I mean.
Yeah.
So really, you know, over here we're just doing a lot of pretending, to be so.
But it's true. It's very, very true, because the point that we have, or what we're trying to delve into, is that if we show this person who we really are, they won't like me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't want to be on my own.
Yeah.
I wanted people to like me. So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
are you going to be? You know, you've got to learn a way or tools to be able to convey yourself with dealing with people that can cope with. Yeah.
I mean, I made up my mind one time, you know, if I couldn't do something, I'll tell a person I can't do. And I thought, okay, if they like me, fine. If they don't like me, well, I just say, you know what? That's their loss. That's how I have to look at it, because I realize I can't please everybody anymore.
Exactly. And that's the point. The point is that you're not going to allow somebody to impinge on you that's going to stop you from being who you are.
Yeah, yeah, your growth. Yeah, because as you rightly say, we're all having an experience on this earth.
Yeah.
And it's to get, over that positive, you know, into
The woman in the family wants to save up to buy a new set of cutlery, and the husband wants to buy a new cassette, a new game that's out there, and she says, well, come on, darling, let me. Or he goes out and buys it, and there it is. You know, it's like being able to show the person, well, you're being blasted selfish. You're not thinking of me and the children. You know, you're thinking of yourself.
Yeah.
And I thought we was in this as a team.
And I think that's what society has become selfish, because I remember the day when if you needed a set, you'd go and pay down on it, but now you go out there and can pay for it in 3 years' time.
Exactly.
But
well, Buddy Charlie told me that if I put £10 on, this is a certain win. I'm gonna win some money. And then you go and put the money on a horse or something like that, and he'd expect him to come back and tell the wife, well, look what I got with it, honey. You know, it's 200 quid. I did that once while I was married, and I got slapped across the face. I stayed outside all night long playing poker, and I'll come home with over £1,000. But I can tell you, that wasn't. I didn't say we could go on holiday. Trust me, I didn't get what I expected. I can tell you.
Okay, thanks, Alpha. Cheers.
And Patricia, last question from Patricia before we wrap up.
I just wanted to say what I'm hearing really is about individuals having the confidence to be able to express themselves, their truth, if you like, you know, what they see, how they feel, what they observe, to be confident enough to be able to do that. You can't prejudge how the response from the person that you're communicating to, how that response is going to be. But you need to be, as an individual, I suppose the teaching is to be confident enough. You respect yourself enough to give yourself the right to express what you feel. And, you know, if the people you're expressing it to don't like it, are angry by it, then they will have to deal with their own feelings.
Exactly. They're not respecting you.
Yeah. I used to do this work. I used to facilitate groups of people working together around confidence and assertiveness, because that's basically what it is.
It is assertiveness, I will agree, but it's a gradual assertiveness using your words. Because it's easy for any therapist to be able to say to you that kill, ABH, verbal abuse, so and so and so and so and so and so and so, but those words might not mean anything to you. You have to build your pyramid with your life's experience and the words that mean something to you.
I suppose for me, when I used to do that work, I did it in a group, because sometimes we're not always able to find the right word to describe the feelings that we may have. So when you're working in a group, because at the base of it, we're all connected on a spiritual level, I may say something and exactly what I say resonates with somebody else who is listening, and they will say, that's what I mean. That's the word that I want to use. Yeah. So when you work in a group, you're actually helping each other, because you're facilitating a process of unraveling. You use the onion as an example. You're unraveling the emotions that you may be wrapped up in, because, you know, from the experience you've had, you've not been able to verbalize the feeling. However, being in a situation where you're actually discussing and talking about your inner feelings, gradually you're able to unpick, you know, and get to the core of your being.
That's right.
Yeah. Using various words, and one word may be useful for one person, but may not actually be useful for somebody else.
Exactly. This is your journey. This is your time. You know, this is all about you. And this is what consciousness needs. We need to raise consciousness. And the only way we can do that is by looking at the energy that we are storing up within ourselves so that we can feed what we want back. At the moment, it doesn't know what it wants because the greedies are doing what they're doing.
Okay.
Right.
Final words to wrap up now.
There's
Yes.
no other word. My God, it's 11 o'clock.
Yes.
This is an hour lesson.
Yes.
How do we get your information?
How do you get my
put your information in the chat just in case not everybody's received it or got it or requested it?
On the email we received.
Oh, you received the email?
Yeah, it's on the email.
Yeah, it's in yeah. If you got the email, then his email and his telephone number is there.
Yes.
Did you receive an email? Yeah?
Yeah, she got it.
Okay, cool. All right.
Is there anything anybody else wants to say? Carl, if you run out of space, me and you's gonna have trouble.
No.
Okay.
I hate trouble.
Trouble's a positive word.
That could be one of your words that you put in. I hate. Okay. All right then. It's a final words. See you next week. Release next week it should be more within the hour, yes, because it's less to explain.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what time is it next week? Because we started
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock.
Has everybody enjoyed or understood what I've been trying to get across? Is there anything is everybody understanding what it is that the task that you're going to do? And again, if you don't understand, please don't be too proud. Just get on the phone. This is about helping you.
Yes, I understand.
And give me a
I
buzz
understand.
and I'll go through it with you.
So, you know, when you've got your word, do you write the word in the box?
Yes. You will be using the words that you've got in your pyramid all the way through the 8 steps. You are going to know so much about yourself, it's unbelievable. And as you go through it, you will find that you will have another row of words down the side that have helped you to transition, that you've found another word. This would be a better word than that word. I don't want to use that word slap. I could use another word, you know, I could do this. And I'm going to help you to find all of those words that you need to be able to find so that you can navigate through to greater understanding of hopefully who you are.
Okay.
And if that's everything and nobody else has got any more questions, me going to my bed because somebody kept me up until 2:30 last night.
It wasn't 2:30, it was 3:30.
He left at 2. He left at 2.
Yeah, he finished at 3:25 to be precise.
Oh my
3:25.
Yeah. 3:25. And what is your famous words, Cole?
You know what? I thought I was going to be here till 10 o'clock. You know that. But my famous words are, you women need some men in your lives.
You're funny.
Funny.
Oh, you're funny.
3:25.
Yeah,
I
325.
hope you all enjoyed it.
Oh my
It was.
goodness.
Excuse me if I've fumbled in some of the places, but like I say, I mean, this is the first time trying to teach it to people. So, you know, I'm learning as well.
You did well.
Yeah, you did.
You did well. You
Yeah,
didn't get
thanks,
mad. You didn't get short.
I didn't get mad. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, Arthur,
everybody,
for the
thank you
feedback.
very much. And thank you for giving me the chance to show you a journey that I went on. There is a lot of places to go to, and spiritually you will be huge at the end of it. Take care, have a good week. Any
You
props,
too.
give me a buzz.
Okay.
Okay, good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you. Good night.
Yes,
Good
thank
night.
you.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.